All right, guys. So I don't have a bell ringer for you today since we just finished the chapter. So with the age of European imperialism. But real quick, guys, I just want to show you where you can find the new module. Okay, World War I. That's what we're diving into right now. So I put it at the top for you. Okay, like always, I have a chapter page for you. And I utilize this to help you with everything. I know I do this every chapter. I know I beat up on it all the time, but I mean, please utilize it. It's there for your help. All right, so here are the objectives for this chapter. Chapter, well, I think we're six now. I got to change that here. Okay, six. But objectives. So there it is. You guys can read it on your own. A purpose for the chapter, and here the presentation. Okay, this is the presentation for the chapter, and then as you can see here, you can see the textbook chapters for the unit 2. So just click on them. You have access to them. You guys know the drill. Everything's the same. All right, nothing has changed there. All right. So with that being said, okay, just a quick review. I was gonna have a bell ringer for you, but we're just gonna keep moving on. And I'll definitely have one for you for tomorrow. But here are your terms for today. Okay, these are terms you already had before. Large enough for it. These are terms you already had before: nationalism, imperialism, and Alsace-Lorraine. Okay, so these are the terms here. Just please pause the video, write down the definitions, and we'll reconvene here. I'll give you a couple seconds just to pause the video, and then I'll discuss it. All right, so nationalism, we already talked about what nationalism is. Okay. And we mentioned about how this is extreme national pride within your own country. So we mentioned already all these countries in Europe are embracing this type of viewpoint where their country is just the best. They're more dominant than other countries that are, let's say, close to them or share a border. Right? We really emphasize nationalism with Germany, the unification of Germany. And that's going to pop up. Obviously, you can see the territory there at the bottom that Germany claimed right after the Franco-Prussian War, really intensifying a bitter rivalry between Germany and France. And that's only going to get worse moving forward. Imperialism. So we already talked about imperialism as well. This is another cause to World War One. So I'll give you a graphic organizer that kind of really lays it out for you. We'll remember it as mania. So Mania. And these are all causes to World War One. And I think it would be a great benefit to you to help you understand what caused World War One. So we'll talk about that here soon, and I'll give you that graphic organizer when we return tomorrow, and you can kind of just fill them out as we go through them. But imperialism, again, bigger, stronger countries, ones that have industrialized, that are developed, that have the means of creating a strong military. And for the most part, they're looking to conquer other lands for raw materials, resources, to expand their sphere of influence, meaning that they want to maybe establish military bases at a global level, all right, internationally, around the world, so that they can grow their empire. So imperialism, I already gave that example quite a bit too. If you have an older brother, younger sister, older sister, whatever it might be, if they want something, like if you're the older brother or sister, if you want something from them, you just take it from them, you grab it from them, and there's nothing that, let's say, the little brother or sister can do about it. Right? You're just bigger, you're stronger. And that's exactly what these European countries were doing during this time. And we already went over the scramble for Africa. That was a great simulation, just detailing of what was happening during this age of imperialism. Alsace-Lorraine is that territory between France and Germany that Germany took after the Franco-Prussian War. That's really the only territory that they did take. And this was an area, this is still an area within Germany that has a lot of means of fuel, like coal, right, to help fuel these industries and this industrial state of Germany moving forward. Right, obviously after the Franco-Prussian War, building up to World War One, and it is focused along the Rhine River. So that's allowing for a natural means of transportation of goods and materials, really, to their territories, back internally into their own country. All right, so real quick, and I do want to state we will be talking about Russia here soon enough, where they're at, even Japan, where Japan's at. And I think that's important as we're building up to World War One, and obviously we'll get to World War Two as well. to see where these countries are. All right, so the Great War, World War One. Okay, there's many other names for it. Okay, the Great War is a common one. The War to End All Wars is another one. Well, we all know that didn't happen. But in any case, these are all names for World War One. This is a new type of warfare, something that's been totally different. Something a war that's been, that's totally different when you look at weaponry, when you look at modernization, and how these European countries and even the United States, and like I said, Japan will be involved as well, how they're duking it out. And if you think about it, these territorial possessions these countries have all around the world are all getting involved too. So, hence the First World War, the Great War, bringing really the whole world together at once. I know I mentioned the French and Indian War back in chapter 3, and I said about how that was considered the first global war. Well, this one takes the cake. This one's a lot bigger. All right, so causes of war. Like I said, mania, I think that's a great way to remember it. We will be breaking down each and every one of these terms here throughout the next couple days. And we're going to start off with nationalism, imperialism, since we already talked about it. But as you can see, these causes here are all going to stem together. They're all going to come together, and this is going to cause an intense rivalry, competition amongst these European countries, which is only going to really start and end with war, right? So these are the three. These are the causes of war I want you to remember. Okay, there's 5 of them here. Mania. That's an easy way to put it together. Okay, I think that's something that could be useful for you. Like I said, I'll have a graphic organizer for you that you can just write details down and write examples for it as we're going through them. And I'll just give that to you tomorrow. All right, so imperialism. We talked already quite a bit about it. So, with imperialism, we have these countries in Europe looking to expand, looking to claim more territory, extract resources and materials from other lands around the world, specifically Africa. We talked about the Berlin Conference already, last chapter. And we already mentioned this man right here, Otto von Bismarck, and how he was crucial for the unification of Germany, and how that's going to change the power dynamic in the world, specifically Europe. So these European countries, they're all looking to expand. They're all looking to grow. And this is leading into a form of social Darwinism. We talked about that term already, where this is a survival of the fittest. Only the strongest will survive. And the only way you can survive at this time is if you conquer lands overseas. In this case, specifically Africa and Asia, right? And utilizing these resources and raw materials to fuel your own economy, build up your military. And as you can see with this slide, it talks quite a bit about Bismarck and how he unified Germany, which we focused on quite a bit last chapter. So I don't need to really talk too much about it. And just quick reminder, okay, utilize the railroad system, the industrial state of Germany as it's going through that second wave to its advantage to bring Germany and propel them as a world power. So again, strong nations, okay, taking over weaker nations, weaker territories for raw materials, spread their influence, setting up military bases, you name it. All right, so imperialism. And there's a picture of Bismarck there. All right, so with that, we talked about the scramble for Africa already. We mentioned about how these European countries were looking elsewhere for resources and raw materials. Remember, Europe's pretty small, and with these countries jam-packed against one another, well, they need to find a new location, a new area to extract these resources and materials. What better place than the untapped continent of Africa? So, yeah, we mentioned about it, how these European countries use their force, use their innovation, their militarism to conquer Africa, and the African tribesmen had really nothing to, they couldn't do anything about it. The indigenous tribesmen were forced as slaves in their own country to extract the resources and materials for the benefit of the imperialistic country, European country, like Great Britain, Germany, Belgium, Italy, Germany, obviously, right? France, even. So that is what Africa looked like, as you can see here with the countries of Europe. Again, you guys played a game with this, a Scramble for Africa, simulating what this game was all about. All right, so here is Europe in 1914. You will have to remember these countries in Europe for a map test. All right, so make sure you start looking over this. Okay, I will have an assignment later down the road here where it will help you, pick out these countries in Europe. And I even have a game for you, which is timed, and we can have a little contest with it to see who earns an extra credit point to find exactly where these countries are, to locate them. It's pretty simple, pretty easy, but when we get there, we'll talk about it. But this is what Europe looks like at the moment in 1914, right before World War One starts. Okay, yeah, it's changed quite a bit since we talked about, especially with Germany and Central Europe, how there's about 39 German-speaking states. Okay, and then after German unification, Germany comes into play, thanks to Bismarck, right? And we'll talk more about these other countries here. We focused a lot already on France, focused a lot already on Great Britain, Spain, Italy, okay, and even the Ottoman Empire, Russia. We talked about already. So some of these countries you should know already where they are, where they're at. They're pretty simple. Italy, the boot, right? That's kind of easy to remember. But anyway, in any case, you will have to know these countries where they're at. I think it's important, especially knowing the alliance system, which we'll talk about here soon, which countries go together and where the fighting is taking place in Europe. All right, so imperialism, already again, I talked about it. So with Germany and even Italy, we didn't talk too much about Italy unifying, but with Germany especially, this is bringing these countries into a power struggle. All right, so already Germany is looking to expand, Italy's looking to expand, and with this Berlin conference, like I mentioned, this was a way to try to prevent warfare from happening. But sooner or later, it's going to crack. Sooner or later, these countries are going to butt into each other. The resources and materials needed to fuel their economies, it's not going to be enough, right? And with the militaries, when they're building them, innovating them, these countries so jam packed close to one another, it's like they're flexing at each other. Sooner or later, they're going to duke it out. All right, so we will talk about Germany and how this extreme sense of nationalism will push them to the brink of war and how they're looking to maybe start a fight or maybe another country, which just Germany kind of gets blamed for it. So we'll talk about that here soon. All right, nationalism. We talked about nationalism already. So this is belief that people should govern themselves, right? And this is the idea where you have an extreme sense of national pride within your own country. So with nationalism, okay, you have these countries that are infusing a lot of pride, a lot of culture within their own country, right? We talked about with Germany especially, kind of like a case study in a way and understanding how they try to build a culture around some of these folk tales, these fairy tales. We mentioned about Snow White, right? We talked a little bit about Cinderella, even, and about some of these other stories that are very common within our culture. Again, stemming back to Germany. And with that, we also talked about the build up their military. What better way to try to bring on national pride than just building up your military, knowing that you're stronger, you're more innovative than your neighbors. All right, we will talk about the Balkan Wars here soon enough, and that how that even causes a lot of these countries in Europe to pick a side in a way and to try to fight for a sense of independence, but at the same time, other countries that are looking to imperialize even lands in Europe. So, real quick, here's the Balkans area. Just wanted to show you that right down here, guys. So you can see me circling around at the bottom. It's right underneath Austria-Hungary. Okay, you're gonna look at Serbia. Okay, that's one of the biggest countries here, looking at World War One, the start of World War One, and where the assassination of Franz Ferdinand happens. So we will mention that here soon enough. But okay, this area right here is a hotbed, right? Russia is influencing it. Austria-Hungary, they're diving into it to try to expand their empire. Italy, even, right? Look at the Ottoman Empire. They're still holding on. They're pretty old. They're not as innovative as these other countries, but they're still there. And then, like I mentioned, it's important to know the alliance systems where these countries are. All right, last thing here, disputed territory. So Alsace-Lorraine, this territory right here in Germany, France, right? This was the territory that was taken by Germany after the Franco-Prussian War. Right, as you can see, France is not going to be too happy about it. Why? Paris is right there. It's not too far away. Okay, so if Germany ever wants to attack again, they're pretty darn close. And at the same time, there's a lot of resources there, like coal, to fuel these industries of the first wave of the Industrial Revolution. Okay, obviously, coal is a huge source of energy, even still this day. Okay, I know we're trying to move away from these fossil fuels, but now with this Russia-Ukraine war, a lot of these factories are, and a lot of these, sorry, forms of energy is being produced yet by coal because, well, those Nord Stream pipelines have been cut, destroyed, and well, Germany, Central Europe have to look for these resources to just heat the homes, really, provide electric. But anyway, with Alsace-Lorraine, also the Rhine River runs right through it here. Okay, so the Rhine River is important for transportations of goods and materials connecting internally right? That's going to be huge for the country when it comes to their output, bringing resources in and out from their overseas territories. All right, so again, you have this territory here. Yeah, it's German speaking technically, but France had ownership of it for a while. So that's going to cause rivalry, tensions between France and Germany moving forward. Why? Well, from the Franco-Prussian War. And remember, Kaiser Wilhelm I was crowned where? Oh, Versailles. That's right. So what a way to try to rub it into your enemy when you win a war. That's what Germany did to unify its people. And like I said, spur up nationalism. France isn't too happy about it. Here they crowned the Kaiser, the Emperor of Germany, in this palace that was, and still is, a sign of, and one of the marvels of the creations of the world. Obviously, for France, very nationalistic, right? Okay. Okay. So with that, right, we'll talk more about that and these terms here, imperialism, nationalism. I want to start with that because it's something you already know. We talked about it quite a bit, and we'll focus and move forward even more, really indicating the terms here of mania. All right, so we'll see you guys tomorrow, hopefully. There will be a bell ringer for tomorrow. Didn't have one today. Starting the new chapter here. Just want to start the causes of World War I. See you guys later. Have a good one. Take care.